It was past midnight when Aaron boarded the last train home. He was the only passenger in the entire compartment. The train was eerily silent. No chatter, no footsteps, just the occasional sound of wheels screeching against the tracks. He settled into a window seat and plugged in his earphones, trying to ignore the weird emptiness around him. But then, at the next stop, the doors hissed open, and someone stepped inside. A tall man in a black suit entered. His face was pale, and his eyes looked too dark, too hollow. He didn't blink. He didn't even look at Aaron. Instead, he sat exactly across from him. Aaron felt a chill run down his spine. There were dozens of empty seats, but this stranger chose to sit right in front of him. Weird. Aaron avoided eye contact and looked at his phone. The screen glitched for a second before turning back to normal. Then, out of the corner of his eye, he saw the man smiling. The train entered a dark tunnel. For a moment the windows turned into mirrors. Aaron glanced at his reflection. But something was wrong. His own reflection looked off. Then he saw the man's reflection. Except, it wasn't a reflection at all. Because the man in the black suit was still staring at Aaron, but in the reflection, he was staring directly at him. And grinning wider. Aaron's heart pounded. He turned his head slightly. The man was still looking down, expressionless, but in the reflection. The man tilted his head, his smile stretched too wide, too unnatural. Then, in the window's reflection, the man's lips moved. "Don't turn around." Aaron froze. The train emerged from the tunnel, and the reflections disappeared. Aaron turned his head instantly, but the man in the black suit was gone. The seat across from him was empty. His heart hammered. There was no way the man could have left. The doors hadn't opened. But then, the train speaker crackled. A distorted voice whispered, "Next stop, your final destination." The train didn't stop at the next station, or the next, or the next. The outside world had become a dark blur. There were no buildings, no signs, just an endless void. Aaron rushed to the doors, banging on them. "Stop the train!" But then, the train lights flickered off. Total darkness. And then, in the pitch-black silence, he heard a voice, right behind him. "You should have never looked." The next morning, the last train pulled into the station. The staff found Aaron's phone lying on a seat. His bag was still there. But Aaron was gone. The security cameras malfunctioned the whole night. No one ever saw Aaron again. But sometimes, late at night, passengers say they see a man in a black suit sitting alone in an empty train. And if you ever see him, don't look at his reflection, because if you do, you might never get off the train.